Tony Aquila, Solera Holdings rocketed higher in November after a big Q1 beat, and you also moved up when you reported a nice earnings report earlier this month. You had sales up 14%. So what's going on? Are we seeing more car accidents out there? Is that what's helping your business so much?
There's a couple things that are driving that today. What we're seeing is a bit of a recovery starting to form at the base level in Europe. And in addition to that, you've had some pretty wild weather patterns, as you've seen in the United States. So that drives up accident frequency. In addition to that, the world is digitizing, so software is becoming much more of a go-to thing than a manual process in insurance claims.
And there's about 100 million or so claims a year. That's a lot of accidents. You have a role in about 28% of those in processing those claims. Can you tell me how you touch all those claims out there?
So we have operations in 68 countries. Of those 68 countries, we are number one or number two. And in many markets, the markets have standardized off the use of our software. And we're processing 28 million of those 100 million claims. But the interesting thing is while technology is pretty obvious to everybody in the United States, where 96% of all claims are processed electronically, the rest of the world, of the 100 million, 50 million of those claims are still done in paper today.
You said number one or number two. Who are the competitors out there? Because it's not a very popular space. Not a lot of competitors I see.
Yeah, so we created the first real global platform, and that's why we have so much market share. We really only have competitors in regional aspects.
It's fairly fragmented.
Very.
And are U.S. drivers safer than those in the emerging markets? Because you're in all those countries around the world. Is it safer over here?
So 1 in 10 Americans have an accident on an annualized basis. So it takes about 10 years for it to get rotated through. Whereas in China, you have 6 out of 10 get in an accident annually. So the accident frequency is much higher, and that has to do with the fact that certain emerging and evolving markets, the people are not quite familiar to driving high horsepower vehicles, distraction of all this technology inside the cockpit of the vehicle. In addition to that, the infrastructures are rough. You go down to Latin America where we're number one, and in Mexico, the roads are still pretty in their infancy.
So is that where the growth is going to be for Solera in the emerging markets, or is there still a lot to go here in the U.S.? Because right now a lot of people still do claims with pen and paper. You're digitizing this.
Yeah, right. So like I said earlier, 50 million of the 100 million claims, which is going to grow to 160 million claims by the year 2030. So there's a proliferation of automobiles. Today there's about 900 million cars. There's going to be about 1.3 billion cars by the year 2028. So you've got a lot of activity going on around the world. The growth is definitely in the emerging and evolving markets, but in the United States, what's interesting is there's this whole digital lifestyle about the car. The young people, the Gen Yers, they want to actually process the claims themselves using technology. And so that's where in the United States, while 96, 97% of the claims are software assisted, but the younger generation people, they want to do all the processing. They don't want to do it through a phone.
So yeah, all right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. Car care is going mobile, right? It's getting digital.
It's getting very digital.
Thanks a lot, Tony.
It's the future.
And thank you for watching The Street.